As many of you, I'm sure, are aware, activism, movements, and the rhetoric that follows are all part of contemporary society. But they also have a darker side that isn't really discussed often. Amongst the realms of noble causes, there is a minority tendency that tarnishes the rhetoric of many social movements, and that's what we're going to be discussing in this video. So first of all, I want to apologise for my hiatus. It's due to a number of reasons which I'm not going to go into, but I want to get myself back on track and producing content again. And with that comes this new type of video I'm making. In all honesty, is a way for me to talk about various contemporary issues, for me to talk about my opinions on specific topics that may or may not be related to my other content, and all that good stuff. This time, the topic we're going to be talking about is misanthropy and how it is present amongst many worldviews and tendencies. I find misanthropy in discussion, in activism, wherever it may lie, as kind of problematic because it blames humanity and individuals for problems and issues that are very much systemic. It's quite a fatalistic worldview that paints and perpetuates this negative conceptualization of human nature and of human behavior. This view of humanity is shared by many reactionary ideologies, which can be telling of what sorts of worldviews some misanthropes have. One notion is that human beings are unable to cooperate with each other autonomously, and thus need to be controlled by an external power, such as governments, police forces, militaries, that kind of thing. This is blatantly false, as we saw in primitive societies, and as we have seen historically in terms of the cooperative and egalitarian societies that formed in the 20th century and prior. Just in case you don't know what I'm talking about, misanthropy is essentially the hatred towards part of or all of humanity. I'm sure there's a less sweeping definition on the internet you can find, but that's the general idea. While it does find its home in reactionary circles, as I have previously stated, whether that be negative conceptions of human nature, various types of identity discrimination, such as racism, sexism, or otherwise, it does find itself in more quote-unquote progressive dialogue and in various progressive movements. And it's actually not hard to imagine why. Misanthropy is often an emotional response to an ongoing issue in the world we live in, particularly when someone sees something happening and are unable to identify the exact cause of a large-scale global issue. A fair few people may still not know that 100 companies in the entire world account for 70% of all greenhouse gas emissions, and so when it comes to issues such as climate change, these people may start internalizing misanthropic notions, such as the idea that humanity is killing off the planet, and that the only way to solve this crisis is for all humans to perish, which isn't true in the slightest, because that idea ignores the fact that just as humans have the capacity to destroy, we also have the equal capacity to build, to create, and with that potential we can rejuvenate the world around us, and we don't even have to sacrifice our standard of living. Due to technological advances, we can have our cake and eat it too, despite what doomsayers might have you believe. Misanthropy also finds itself in places like the animal rights movements and the vegan movement. Somehow, the whole human race is blamed for things like animal cruelty, when in reality, the very large entities which contribute the most detriment to animal welfare are controlled by a small number of very wealthy and powerful people. It's very much a systemic issue, as is the way our food system is organised. Individuals have next to no control over this. If I and even thousands upon thousands of individuals stopped eating meat right now, it would not make a dent of impact on where food comes from and how it is produced. Within the current system, individuals are powerless when it comes to these kinds of economic decisions, which brings me to talk about the Malthusian myth and the very misanthropic idea of overpopulation. The Earth has enough natural resources to provide for multiple times our current population, provided they are distributed fairly and sustainably. However, the idea of overpopulation gained ground in the 20th century and still lives on today, yet resources are not distributed as such. We waste more food than we eat, and large companies engage in regular planned obsolescence, which are just a couple of examples. The concept of human overpopulation is a failure to understand that much of these problems are systemic, not human. This often invokes the question, if many of our problems are systemic, but not human, why do we see such social inertia when it comes to these issues? Why won't people just do something? Within our current social order, the masses don't really have that much power or influence. It's very difficult to change a system that you don't really have that much power over. And this ties in nicely with another point I'd like to make, which is that your lifestyle within capitalism doesn't really change much at all. If I and 10,000 other people suddenly become paleo vegans, donated to 10 different charities, and only bought used goods, we wouldn't make a dent in the general sphere of things. And this is because of the power dynamics and the systemic biases of the world we currently live in. Now contrast this with, say, working towards changing the way our food system works and the way we produce things at a systemic level, and that might actually have an impact. Because of the nature of misanthropy, I'm inclined to believe that misanthropes have neglected systemic analysis and the analysis of power dynamics. It matters more to them what people do and how they approach their lifestyle, more so than looking at how social systems create the conditions for the state of the current world. Simply believing that less humans is better, or that humans are the root cause of much suffering in the world, is ignorant of structural and systemic analyses and provides no real solutions to the problems of today. As a human being, I don't want animals to suffer. I don't want Earth to suffer. Climate change is not my or most people's fault. The problems surrounding animal rights are not mine or most people's fault. They are the fault of social and economic structures that have been incubated over multiple millennia. There are not too many humans. There is too much concentration of economic and social power. Humans are not inherently evil, but the system we live within can be. The vast majority of people did not ask to live under these contemporary circumstances. A set of material conditions have defined the path of social evolution that has led to the current paradigm. And on that note, I say, please, don't hate humans. Humans are largely innocent. It's the systems and structures that we live within that need to change if we want to address these big issues that plague the world. Anyway, that's my 2 cents. These, in all honesty, videos aren't going to be in a linear format. More so, they will carry on throughout this channel's lifetime. I've been very busy and am yet still to work on my blog, but it is coming and it will be developed continuously over time. I'm also planning on revamping my channel a bit, so you'll likely see some changes there too. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed the video. Subscribe for more, share, and I'll catch you all next time.